Doc Springer here. I'm so pleased to bring to the studio today Joe Meisch, a 13-year Army veteran and the founder and CEO of Temple Massager Inc. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Awesome to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Let's get started by talking a little bit about your military background and history.
Sure. So as a 19-year-old kid with way too much energy and not near enough constructive places to put that energy, the Army afforded me a channel to properly exercise that energy.
It was a good fit for what you needed.
Yeah, it was. I was definitely in need of some, constructive channeling and disciplines. Was full of it, if you will.
Yes, yeah. What was
So
your favorite part about your time in the Army?
I just, I got to learn a bigger picture of the world, frankly, and it brought me out of small town Nevada, California. It introduced me to a wide variety of cultures, and I really actually thrived at being a soldier, and the military culture was great. And I love the discipline and most importantly, the self-respect you learn and the respect you learn to give others.
Yeah. Joe, I've been thinking the past few weeks, especially, what would happen if everybody in our country had to serve for like a year, in terms of what I see in the tribe about that respect piece and people really learning to really respect and love people that have very different backgrounds. It's phenomenal. So I'm really glad that you kind of put that on the radar. And you've been working on some really interesting um, projects, and one that we wanted to focus on today was the Temple Massager. Can you tell us the story of how that came to be?
Absolutely. So at the end of my Army career, it was rather stressful. I was actually in the Army National Guard at that time, and was a full-time student at Sonoma State, and I was working a job and under a lot of pressure, and I experienced headaches, a lot of headaches, migraines in particular, tension headaches. And literally one day I'm coming back from an Allman Brothers concert of all places, uh, and the designated driver, and I'm going down the road, and the lights from the oncoming traffic was irritating my eyes, and I started to get a little aura in my left eye, and I know I'm about to get a migraine when that shows up. So I thought, oh no, I got a car full of drunks, I'm the driver, and I had my sunglasses on the top of my head. And I literally pulled them off my head and just intuitively thought to massage around my eyes with my sunglasses as I'm holding them in this manner.
Yeah.
And I felt like relief. My eyes felt good. Of course, they wanted to close. And I just was trying to go into through my athletics at junior college in Marin, and I played some semi-pro baseball. I had a meditative ability from some of my athletics and concentrating and focusing. And I just was doing deep breathing and massaging. And I literally thought to myself, wow, this feels good. I am going to buy a Temple massager tomorrow. No, you're not. Didn't exist.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, people get a lot of good ideas all the time, right? But the difference between a good idea and executing it to completion, huge, it's a world apart. So it's not enough to have the good idea. You've actually been the inventor of this and really developed it. What's the story of that piece of the journey?
So you're right on the money with that. And I think Edison said it best. Invention is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration.
Yeah.
So you're right on the money, and I've walked that walk, and I've learned it. So basically, I literally from that moment on thought that, hey, here's a scintilla of an idea. And through a long process of searching every possible format to see if it really existed or not, I found that it did not. And that at that point in time, go read a book, right? Again, falling back on my military training and experience, I knew how to learn. That's when I was researching how to create a new device. How does this work? How do you get into this? Talk to a patent attorney. And so those were the initial steps that I took in recognizing what the path ahead of me was going to look like.
And that's interesting because you directly attributed that to your service, to skills that you learned in the service, which I think is such an important message, to think about how military service can prepare us to be entrepreneurs and leaders and innovators.
I think it came from the initial moment coming back from that concert when I grabbed my glasses and started doing this. It was like just automatic. I mean, I was trained to adapt, improvise, and overcome as a combat engineer. You know, do more with less, get more done than the average person. And it started with me grabbing my glasses and massaging right around my eyes. And that was intuitive. I didn't even think about that, you know, so.
And I also know that, you know, there's this whole learning curve with patent attorneys and that whole process of discovery. And then there's the invention and the development. And then there's the very long perspiration phase of trying to get your idea adopted and socialized into systems of care and places where veterans are treated. And you've made real progress on that through some of your partnerships and conference presentations. Can you tell us where you're at with your device?
Yep. So as you cited, it's a very, very long process. It was very difficult. You know, I would like to couch this. You know, new medical devices don't come from guys in cabins in the woods. So that means the deck is stacked severely against me, and the odds are exceedingly long. So yeah, huge process there. So out of a 13 to 14 year effort, literally, you know, let me back up for 1 second. You know, this is exceedingly difficult, as you have already cited, and that is no exaggeration.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult that I really honestly didn't know if I had what it took. But my whole benefit that I could do this was because I served with two guys that gave all. A guy I couldn't save when I was in the Army Reserve, Private Curtis Young. He drowned during training. And, you know, we got a break to do a river recon. What it meant was we got a moment to get in the water and just relax for a second. And unfortunately, my brother Curtis drowned. So I went from digging his foxhole 2 a.m. because I'm full of energy to IDing his body at 11 a.m. And then later down the line, after I was already out, my supervisor, Mike Ottolini, Sergeant First Class Ottolini, he was KA in Iraq. So fast forward, through those guys' loss, I found strength. Through their sacrifice, I found purpose, drive, and the ability to pierce through the unbelievably bad odds that I was facing. And I literally would go look in the mirror and get as close to the mirror as I could and look in the pupil of my eye and try to find the center of my existence, my soul, if you would. And I'd ask myself, brother, you serve with two guys that gave all.
Yeah.
Short of giving all, what is it? What do you have to give if your device is helping your brothers and sisters? And so through all that, I gave 4,000 temple massages away. And so through 4,000 going around the world, I would get APOs from around the world and send them off. And I gave it away. I'm a happy guy. And so I just worked construction and funded all that. And I gave everything. Everything I had.
Drive comes from the love you have for your brother.
A lot of people like to say, oh, that man, you were tough and you hung in there in your Army, you know, this and that. To distill this down, why I did what I did, I can simply tell you it was because of love and compassion for my brothers and sisters. Honestly.
I believe it. I know you. I believe that. I know that about you. And I know that warriors are capable of amazing things, but they don't walk alone. The ones that are successful have the tribe behind their back, and that's your fallen, as well as those still with us. And that's a very practical way to support the tribe.
Man, you cannot buy that. You can't. And I like to think it's earned, frankly. So where are we at today? You know, I'd have to say it goes back to 2017. I communicated with Veterans Administration of Palo Alto, California, and I met with a Defense and Veterans Brain Injury Center director, Dr. Maheen Adamson, and her staff. They looked at all my anecdotal letters, combat commanders letters, thank you letters from Walter Reed, and they took an interest. And so I began presenting an abstract at TBI forums, traumatic brain injury forums. And then you'll get a kick out of this. I got an invitation letter from Stanford School of Medicine Neuroscience Forum. I literally was so out of my league, way outclassed, that I did not understand that invitation. I literally called the phone number to ask them, why did you send this to the wrong guy? This is Stanford School of Medicine.
Yeah.
If we could find that person that picked up the phone, I'm not kidding you one bit. I literally was blown away that I thought they sent it to me by mistake somehow. So they said, yeah, we are part of Palo Alto. We saw you present an abstract and we're inviting you to Stanford School of Medicine Neuroscience Forum.
Awesome.
So then I got invited to an institutional peer review board. I show up to the presentation, present my abstract, which was woefully inadequate, but that's just, I had letters from combat commanders. It might not have been the best abstract, but anyway, so we're honored with a pilot study. So they're collecting data for traumatic brain injury, chronic tension headache relief, and as a sleep aid. Then I kept going. I kept pouring it on because I was like, hey, Curtis and Mike, you're still serving us. Yeah, you're doing it through me, but you're still serving us. And so then today we have 3 pilot studies, data collection sites, and Veterans Pathway Home in Virginia. We're expecting preliminary pilot level data this week, literally.
Okay.
And I was told it's positive by the psychiatric RN that is administering the surveys, questionnaires, et cetera. And then I became a vendor to the Veterans Administration. And we've got a few sales under our belt to the Veterans Administration and at Chicago VA. They are going to be collecting data on TMD, temporal mandibular joint disorder, post-surgical facial stimulation. And we've been granted a Class 1 medical device from the government of Canada.
Awesome.
So we're actually moving into Canada to look at exporting, and we're trying to communicate with the Ministry of Veterans Affairs. And most recently, I was invited to do a presentation to the Department of Defense through a Warrior Tech Ops program based out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And what they told me, and in writing in their notes, they said that they want to look at my device and getting into the hands of chaplains for each branch of service, specifically for suicidal ideation distraction.
Show us the device, Joe.
So this is the temple massager. It's a very simple design. It looks stupid simple, if you will. But basically, the big important thing is that the workload is right there. So, I realized a long time ago when I'm walking around the Army doing this, or I'm trying to dig into my facial muscles. Well, when I'm doing this, I'm engaging my neck, my shoulders, my forearm, my humerus. That's 400 times more muscle engagement than what I'm trying to relax in my masseter muscle and my temporalis muscle. So in other words, that's like picking up 10 pounds to move 1 pound. That's grossly inefficient. And if you're an Army veteran, that's called dumb. So this basically takes this energy output down to this. So and I can adjust the pressure, and that makes a world of difference. And the massage tips, they just simply come on and off, and they're modeled after the fingertips, the thumb, the palm. So there's an extra set of massage tips. And recently I've added a simple lotion roll up, like a chapstick, that we've incorporated arnica for pain relief and St. John's wort for inflammation. And so you put that on there, and that's kind of the total package of the device.
And you've designed it so that really elegantly, so that those the St. John's wort arnica ointment fits in the handle when you're not using it, so you can kind of keep it all together. You were kind enough to send me one, and it smells really nice, what you picked out. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see where this goes. And I think the thing that I'm pulling out of this conversation is that warriors are capable, once again, as I know, of incredible things when they understand that they can carry the love they have for their fallen brothers forward, that there is nothing, no wall that they can't kick down if they are motivated by that kind of pure love. And it's very hard and it's a long haul, but you don't do it alone. You don't walk alone. You walk in connection with those still with us and those who have fallen.
Absolutely. If I could add one note,
Yeah.
um, this is the third version of the device. And I actually, on the third version, went to borrow from weapons technology. So this is ballistic nylon. This is what the pistol grips and handguards M16 and M4 rifles is made from. It's
Mm.
very tough. And the handle, if you can see in this dimension, it's pretty wide. And I did that because I talked to a lot of VA clinicians that said, Joe, too many veterans hold guns. And that's because we are conditioned to hold weapons for safety and security for obvious reasons when you are in service. Problem is that when you're a veteran, maybe that's not such a great idea. So I wanted to supplant the weapon holding with something that's made of the same material that kind of feels that fullness of the
Yeah.
handle. And instead, you're getting cranial massage, acupressure, and aromatherapy with the device. Aromatherapy goes in a little pad on the front, so it's proximal to the nose. If I practice deep breathing and mindfulness, you're getting tremendous tactile autonomic nervous system stimulation and olfactory nervous system stimulation to overwhelm your brain, to basically maybe get you to not think and to be calm. If you practice mindfulness, hopefully any kind of negative thoughts about yourself, and yeah, we're talking suicide. Maybe you can satisfy that tactile feel and distract yourself away from it. And that's what these folks at the DoD are interested in.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to add that point, that I actually borrow from weapons technology for healing technology.
As you know, getting anything sort of through levels of approval requires you to get the buy-in of multiple tribes. And one of those tribes is, the professional community of healers, the academic community. I have a foot in both tribes in terms of my work with veterans, having come from an academic background and working so closely with warriors. There's a word for what you just described, and you may know it, but using this language is so important to helping people understand what you're doing. What you just described is what psychology would call habit replacement therapy.
Habit replacement therapy.
Yeah. So the concept was started in the addictions literature, I believe, but it's been expanded to all kinds of behavioral change, where instead of just simply telling yourself, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to hold my firearm when I'm in that state of crisis, what you do is you say, I want you to move towards this. So it's easier for us as humans to go towards something that's healthy than to just try to stop ourselves from doing something else. And a really simple example, from my own life is like I was drinking too many like Diet Cokes, not great. So instead, I started drinking seltzer water. So it was instead of just saying every time I got an impulse to grab a Diet Coke, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I went instead to the seltzer water, and that was a much easier thing to do than to just try and stop myself in a set in pattern. So, habit replacement therapy is the kind of word that, as you move this forward, um, pull from that literature and share your idea with some of that framing. And, I'm happy to support kind of additional language that would help translate the good work you're doing to the academic community that you need, to connect with to move this forward. But it sounds like you don't need me. I mean, you're doing great. I think it's awesome, your drive, and I think it's awesome where it comes from. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. And thank you for helping me learn, because, you've got a professional skill set that I don't. So I would always like to be able to depend on you for a little bit of guidance or help or information. So thank you for extending that courtesy.
Of course, I got your back. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Joe. And we look forward to hearing how things develop.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.